You walk into an empty house at night. The lights are off. Nobody is home. And the silence is so loud it makes your skin crawl. That's strange, isn't it? Silence has no sound. It should feel like nothing, but it doesn't feel like nothing. It feels like something is about to happen. Your ears strain. Your shoulders tighten. You find yourself listening for a threat that isn't there. But the real answer for why this happens is far stranger than you're just being paranoid. Your brain was never built for quiet rooms. It was built for a world where silence meant something very specific. It meant the birds had stopped singing. It meant the insects had gone still. It meant a predator was near. For most of human history, sound was safety. A living forest is a noisy forest. Birdsong, insect hum, the rustle of animals moving through underbrush. That noise was a constant background signal that said, everything is normal here. Nothing dangerous is moving through this space. When that noise stopped, it meant the opposite. Something had entered the scene that made every other creature go quiet at once. The biologist Liana Zanet spent years studying exactly this. She played the sounds of predators to wild animals and watched what happened. The animals didn't just run. They went into a state of sustained, full-body vigilance. Their hearts raced, their feeding stopped, their reproduction dropped. Fear alone, without a single actual attack, was enough to reshape their entire lives. And the trigger wasn't the growl. The trigger was often what came after the growl, the stillness. Your ancestors lived inside that same stillness for millions of years. They didn't have walls. They didn't have locks. They had their ears. A sudden hush in the grass wasn't a minor detail. It was the difference between living to see morning and not. So think about what that means for you, sitting in your quiet apartment right now. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a savanna gone silent and a bedroom with the television off. Both trigger the same ancient circuitry. Both get flagged as something changed, pay attention. Here's where it gets stranger still. You'd think evolution would have smoothed this out by now. You'd think a species this old, this adaptable, would have learned that silence in a house is not silence on a savanna. But evolution doesn't optimize for accuracy. It optimizes for survival. And those are not the same thing. The evolutionary psychiatrist Randolph Nesse has a name for this. He calls it the smoke detector principle. A smoke detector that goes off every time you burn toast is annoying, but a smoke detector that fails to go off during an actual fire is fatal. So we build them to be oversensitive on purpose. False alarms are cheap. A missed real threat is not. Your fear response works the same way. It would rather scream at shadows 1,000 times than stay silent once during a real threat. That's not a flaw in your design. That is the design. Every ancestor who felt a chill during unexplained silence and got cautious survived to pass that trait down. Every ancestor who shrugged it off and kept relaxing did not always get a second chance. You are, quite literally, descended from the ones who got nervous in the quiet. Now here's the twist most people never notice. It isn't only sudden silence that unsettles you, it's unpredictable silence. A soundproof room, one you know is soundproof, doesn't trigger the same response. Your brain has already explained the quiet. It knows why the sound is gone, so it stops treating the absence as a mystery. But an unexplained hush, the kind where sound should be there and isn't, gets treated completely differently. Your brain doesn't process it as no information. It processes it as important information that I'm missing. And missing information, to a survival machine built over millions of years in the wild, is far scarier than bad news. Bad news you can react to. Missing information means something might already be reacting to you. This is why a pause in a conversation can feel more tense than an argument. Why a phone call going silent feels worse than the caller shouting. Why children go quiet right before you catch them doing something they shouldn't. Silence, to your brain, has never meant nothing. It has always meant wait and watch. Robert Sapolsky spent decades studying stress in wild baboon troops, and he found something that maps almost perfectly onto this. It wasn't the actual danger that wore the animals down the most, it was the uncertainty around it. Baboons living with unpredictable threats, where they couldn't tell when the next attack was coming, showed far higher chronic stress than baboons facing threats they could actually predict and prepare for. The nervous system, it turns out, tolerates known danger better than it tolerates the unknown. Silence is the sound of the unknown. That's the whole reason it unsettles you. It isn't a sound at all. It's a blank space your brain refuses to leave blank. It fills it in with worst-case scenarios, because for nearly all of human history, filling it in with the worst case was the option that kept people alive. Think about how many of your modern habits trace straight back to this. The way you turn on music while you clean an empty house. The way hotel rooms feel less unsettling with the television murmuring in the background. The way silence during a first date feels like it's screaming something. None of that is random. You are running software written for a world with no walls, no doors, and no locks, in a body sitting inside all three. And here's what makes it stranger still. This wiring didn't just shape how you react to silence, it shaped how humans built the world around them. Fireside chatter after dark wasn't only about companionship. It filled the silence deliberately, on purpose, because a quiet camp at night meant nobody was on watch. Talking, singing, even the low hum of ordinary conversation was a signal broadcast outward. It said, "We are still here. We are still alert. Do not come closer." Silence was never neutral. It has always been a message, and your ancestors learned to read it before they had words for what it meant. So the next time you're alone in a quiet room and that strange unease creeps in, you're not imagining a threat that was never there. You're running a program that kept an entire species alive for a few 100,000 years, one that only recently found itself running in a world of soundproofed apartments and empty houses at midnight. You walk into an empty house at night. The lights are off. Nobody is home. And the silence isn't loud at all. It's ancient.